Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Everyone calling in from today. Right. Welcome, Alejandro. Welcome, Ariel, Austin, Bill, Chris, Eric. Bom dia, Eric. Prasil, Eric, Esther, Gabrielle, Greg. Welcome, Greg, the man, the myth. Aiden, Itai, Jason Crawford, Jax. Welcome, everybody. Just give us a couple minutes. Jennifer, John Green, Jonathan, Joshua, Joao, Bom dia, Justin, Lala, Leonardo, Lori, Lucas, Matthias, Paul, Piyush, Roger, Ron, Sasha is in. All right, Sasha. Great. Sasha, you're here. Welcome. Can you hear?
Yep, all good.
Cool. Sasha's in the building. All right. We're just waiting for a few more people to join, but real quick. So, Sasha, where are you located in France exactly?
So I live in the eastern part of France near Switzerland. Yep.
And Sasha, so everyone can get your pronunciation of your last name correctly. How do we say your last name?
I'm not sure if it's good that they attempt to do it, but my last name is called Bouamidi. It's a Arabic name.
Nice. Yeah, my name is tricky to pronounce as well.
Yeah, I always thought it was Nagy, but it's Naj.
I mean, it's my Hungarian language skills are not amazing, so my attempt to pronounce it correctly, I'm still mispronouncing it. So can't even say my own name. But welcome everybody. Got quite a few people here. I think people are going to filter on in the next couple of minutes. But so today we're going to be talking about. So first of all, just some backstory. So Sasha, it was amazing to meet you at our VidTal Live in Oxford, UK, which was almost a year ago, which is hard to believe. It's been a crazy year. And I remember, we got to talk, and you were telling me all about this sort of systematized direct response UGC that you were spearheading, really, and it was fascinating. And we had a long chat. We've just been chatting a few times since then, and you had an amazing podcast with us. I remember all about Facebook, so Meta, and obviously the media buying side is something that you do as well. you actually is full cycle creative and actual advertising testing and just growth generally is something that you're amazing at. So I'm super excited and honored to have you on the call today. And welcome everybody. It's great to have everyone here.
Yeah, thanks to Ian and Brad and the whole VidTal team, and you guys for giving me a platform today. I hope we can make it worthwhile to just talk about this subject that is all the rage, has been all the rage, maybe a little bit less in the past few months. I think it has cooled down a little bit, but in my experience, in my opinion, UGC is still a very lucrative and low hanging fruit way of making ads on Facebook and TikTok and also YouTube, and really scale that way.
Yeah, I mean, so why does UGC work so well when done right? I mean, what do you think is the magic behind it?
Right. So in my opinion, UGC is and it kind of always has been there. It's just that like before it was, you know, like a traditional like testimonial kind of like videos where people would just record a video, but in the past, like it wasn't something that you could really easily share, um, or you could even easily record, right? But in advertising, the testimonial side of like advertising has always been like the thing, at least, you know, before it was started to get cluttering, and a lot of actors in the market. But basically, I think like my thesis about UGC is, first of all, right now, why it works so well is just because essentially it just like mirrors the organic side of the platforms, whether it's being TikTok or Facebook. Like this is what people want to see as content, right? They want to be entertained. I don't know how many hours per day people spend on TikTok on average, but it's like quite high. And so essentially, like making ads that look like what people want to see as content is obviously going to work, right? Granted, you can make it, you know, a little bit genuine and not just like a pure ad that doesn't really look good or doesn't, educate people or entertain people, which is the whole premise of like building UGC the right way. And the second part about that, in my opinion, has a lot to do with trust, right? Is and I think like there are shocking numbers about that, especially in America. Like I think like 60% of the population don't really trust people, and so if they don't trust people because they think they're not as reliable as before, the brands and the advertising and the institution is even worse than that. I think like the trust in government in the US is like at a low all-time low, right? And so when you have distrust, like it's very difficult to sell to people because first of all, people don't really like to be sold. I mean, that's a fact, but they love to buy, right? And they love to buy only when they don't like they feel, you know, in a safe space, right? They feel that they can trust the person or the brand or the product they want to buy, right? And if you do UGC the right way, especially the organic side, not so much what we're going to talk about today, like the real organic piece of content is something that you have a lot of trust into, right? Because I mean, you know, just some people sharing their experience, right? This is great, but this form of UGC works well. The only problem is that it's very random. Like it's as we discussed multiple times, and it's kind of like the object of today's call, is essentially like a spray and pray method of like,
Yeah.
I don't really know if it's going to work or not, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. And I just wanted to take a step back because, I know a lot of people might not know Sasha and all the work you've been doing, but I mean, none of this is theory. This is all what we're going to be talking about is what you've earned through spending millions a month on specifically on direct response UGC. So this is not like some sort of theoretical situation. This is you constantly testing hypotheses and seeing what works, iterating based on what works, what doesn't work. And so that's what informs all of this. And can you just share some of the brands you work with to really, to implement all this stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I used to operate an agency for the past year and a half. And now I'm venturing on my own. But basically, I work with 60 plus brands, in direct response space, mainly in the health and beauty space. So I work with brands like Nude, Nilstein, Gleaming, Caged, Heights, Primal Harvest, NutriSense, The Essence Vault, Michael Top Beauty, Juvenon, Soul, organics, activation products, and a bunch of other brands. A lot on supplement space, beauty space, everything that is related to health. Because I mean, like UGC works for pretty much everything. But for us, like the easiest brands that we can really make it work for are brands that have this element of direct response built in, right?
Mhm.
If you if and this has been the kind of like the thing that I really experience at my time working with all these brands is that when you have brands that are like too on the brand side and not really, wanting to, have the normal direct response things of like making claims and having stories and all of this, it's more difficult to make it work just because, I mean, I think like people are like scrolling two times the Eiffel Tower height per day, right? And so your
Insane.
ad, don't do something and don't, just like snap people out of this trance of like scrolling, it's difficult. You can't really make it work. And you do that, you kind of like snap them out by doing stuff that, might be not edgy, definitely not edgy, but a little bit more aggressive than just being, vanilla, just like brand, right? And nothing wrong with that. I know plenty of brands like killing it with that. But I think like for brands from 0 to low 8 figures and even mid 8 figures, I think direct response is the way, and you can't be like, on the brand side.
Yeah. I mean, I always love that metric. I think Nick Shackelford and some of his partners came up with the thumb stop, right? The like getting that, like you said, that Eiffel Tower length scroll, getting people to actually stop that scroll and pay attention to what you're saying. And
Yeah.
I know that's crucial to all the stuff that you do.
It is crucial to get the attention. I don't know if a lot of people on Twitter, there was a heated debate from Taylor Holiday recently, and essentially like these metrics, everything that is like thumbs up ratio, hold rate, CTR, CPC, CPMs, like these are great to um, you know get a picture of what's happening on your ad and on the ad level, but this doesn't really have any type of correlation with your bank account, and
Mm-hmm.
not really. I mean, like it does to a certain extent with your CPA, which also has a correlation with your bank account, but it's not because you're gonna have an ad that is good at getting people to watch it that you're going to make millions of dollars, right? There's
Sure.
more to it, and again, it's still like as a whole, in my opinion, advertising on Facebook, on YouTube, and all of this, and basically making sale is pretty much a black box, right? And that's what we were discussing, a few times. Is that like as much as we can understand like human psychology and try to make them buy, it's still some sort of mystery about like why some people are going to buy at this day, or why some people are going to buy with this claim or that. Like you can't really have like a end all be all answer for all of this, right? You can have a hypothesis about, okay, well, we think and we believe that we should be making this type of content, we should be saying this type of claim, but at the end of the day, it's more about like how many shots you take, and and really like the volume, and then finding the balance between volume and quality, so we can really find like the thing that is going to work with you. But at the end of the day, like I believe that thumb stop and all these soft metrics, as everyone is calling, is very important. It's just not like it shouldn't be like the main metric that most people should aim for when making ads as a whole.
Sure. No, I mean it's I definitely can echo what you're saying. I mean, all the time we get asked, what's a good click-through rate, right? For YouTube, let's say. And yeah, I mean, we do look at click-through rate, but I'll tell you the best, most biggest campaigns that we've scaled had terrible click-through rate, honestly. And we were just looking at CPA. So yeah, I mean, again, what like you said, in the end, what matters is dollars in, dollars out, and really optimizing that. But just coming back to what you mentioned, it's all about the number of shots that you take. I mean, that implies that, you need a lot of creatives to test, you need a lot of ideas to test, you need a way of actually executing those ideas to have something to distribute and actually get data on so that you can then iterate, scale, etc. So, I mean, how do you do all that? How do you actually push a large volume of very good ad ideas? And how do that's we're talking about a lot of moving parts here. I'm just curious, can you walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like creating ads is essentially solving the biggest problem that you can have in a business, which is like just getting sales on cold traffic. And so this is why like it's really difficult, and this has been like a major challenge that we've been having when I was working at the agency. Is that, I mean, like we're essentially competing with like everyone on cold traffic making ads, right? It's not the same thing as having like a back-end agency where you just have to write a couple emails, send it, and then make some money, right? Solving cold traffic, in my opinion, is the most difficult thing that you can do for a business, right? And especially when you want to do videos and when you need to have a consistent flow of videos and a great amount of videos. This is, in my opinion, like the most difficult thing. And then once you solve it and when you have like a solution for it, the rest doesn't become easier, right? Because like a business is hard in any case, but it certainly facilitates everything else. So essentially, like we built a system that allows us to produce, a good chunk of creatives, like hundreds of creatives, not at the same time, obviously, right? But having a good amount of creatives like every month, and then producing them in under 4 weeks, like between 2.5 to 4 weeks. Typically, we start, getting the creatives, and essentially, it's really about thinking of, like kind of like as you're on a line, like a factory, and then
Mhm.
basically everyone has its own role and then just executes the task and then move it to the next stage. The next person is going to execute the task, etc., etc. Right? And so it can be a complex process, but I believe that not having a process at all is even more complex, because you're going to test stuff. You're going to have one one creative or two creatives are going to be working, and then you're going to chill or not really do anything. You're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to rely on this ad creative that's working well. The problem is that once it doesn't work, because it will stop working at some point, while you're all stressed, and then you have to basically go hunt again, right? That's the analogy that I really like, is about being a hunter, of like, okay, well, I'm going to hunt when I need to hunt, and
Mhm.
after that I'm going to chill, or basically rely just on that. Or you can be a farmer and really build a like just a crop, basically a system that is going
Right.
to grow. And it doesn't matter if you're going to go hunt every day, it's still going to grow and still going to give you food at the end of the month, right? That's the whole
Mhm.
premise of it. And I mean, like as we can see, like empires were not built on hunters, but more on
Mhm.
farmers and producing these things, right? So the system basically is very easy. It's like four-step. It's like first you need basically to research your market, and even for brands that have already been doing VSLs and all the other stuff, I think like consistently researching, not only like about your customers, but also about what type of content that do they consume, what are the trends that they're seeing, that they're even doing on TikTok, like all this stuff. Understanding the limitations of your audience, what matters for them, all these little stuff about your audience and your market is really, really important to not only do once or twice, but continually engaging with them
Mhm.
through customer surveys, through reading stuff and stories on Reddit, to going
Mhm.
through TikTok and see what is going on in your new niche, and really
Right.
like consistently get ideas about that. So that's the first step about researching and like just like basically watering your brain. What I really like doing is also from a book called, I think it's called A Technique for Producing Ideas by James Webb. And essentially, the whole premise of the book is to get really good ideas is very easy. First, you need to really study your subject about your brand or anything like that. And then at the same time, you need to be studying stuff that is unrelated to your brand, right? That doesn't have any sort of like link to it. And then basically, the more you do that, the more connections are going to form into your brain, and then that's how you're going to get new perspective, new ideas, and fresh ideas about how to conduct your advertising, right? And so that's something that I really like doing, because essentially, if you only look at stuff that people are already doing, it's great, it's going to be working well in any case, but you're never really kind of like not innovating, but like showing and creating stuff that people have never seen before, right? And the biggest breakthroughs, in my opinion, is when you show something like a new take to something that has already been existing, right? And so I think it's very important to do that, to research continually, to get new ideas, and not really just rely on maybe a one or two angles that are working well with like different actors, because it might work well, it might take you to 7, 8, or even higher, but the thing again, it's all about predictability and stability, right? uh, Running a business, in my opinion, is already hard enough, so why complicate the task even more by not being a bit more proactive about what you do for your advertising, your idea generation, all of this, right? So that's the first step: researching, understanding your market, etc., etc. Second step, obviously, is essentially to source creatives, source creators, and that's I would say it can be the easiest part, it can be the hardest part, right? Because that's the only real period of time in the process where you have to deal with other human beings that are not on your team, right? And this can be very easy because essentially the UGC revolution has not disturbed, but changed a lot of things for a specific industry, which is the movie and cinema and TV industry, right? These people, most people that have not had a breakthrough in TV or cinema, are still doing some small roles, etc., etc. They're on in Hollywood, Atlanta, etc., etc. And most of the time, when they're still working on their projects to become a movie star, a TV star, they have to go to work at the restaurant or do something else to pay the bills, and then just like continue applying for different jobs. The cool thing with UGC is that you can hit up these people also on some platforms, casting platforms. That's my favorite place to source them, such as Backstage, Mendy, and other casting platforms across the US. And basically, you can just like have the same thing as Upwork, but for actors, right? So, for example, if you're a brand that sells brightening cream to, I don't know, like a black woman, for example, well, you're gonna want to have black women with a certain age and a certain demographic within your ad, and so you can post jobs to essentially look for people like this, right? And you're gonna have a lot of people, and then it's just there that it becomes a bit more difficult because you have to negotiate with them, you need to ship the product, you need to coordinate, etc., etc. So I think like a big advantage that like info product have is that they don't have to ship the product, right? So this basically removes a step that is a hassle most of the time of having to ship the product, making sure that the product is getting there. If it gets there, making sure that the talent is still there, etc., etc. Because the thing with talents is that even though now, like if you pay them, $150 or $200 or $250 per video, which is still very economic for a brand, the demand has clearly increased for UGC, right? In 2022 and even 2023, it like completely boomed, and there's a lot of people now that are a bit more aware and making good money as a creator. To be honest, like I know a lot of people making 5 to 10K a month, just like shooting videos, in their home, which is great, right? So the important thing is finding a rooster of creators that are going to be working with you, with your brand, and be a bit more loyal rather than just like burn through new creators, not really be sure that the content is going to be good, etc., etc. So the second step really is to find these creators, negotiate with them, um, and really try to work with them on the long term rather than just like make 1 or 2 videos and then bye bye, right? The more loyalty and the more involved in the process they are, the better for you, right? So that's the second step. Once you have your end goals and what you're going to talk about, and then you have your creators, then typically you just like ship them the products, and then in the meantime, you're going to be starting working on script writing. So you have two schools of thoughts there. Basically, the first one is to not make ads but make TikToks, and I agree with that. I think it's a great method because again, like it mirrors the organic content that people want to look at, and it's great content. The only problem is that it's very difficult to iterate on. You can't really know what you're going to be testing, and you can't really predict and have stability in your advertising efforts, right? So it's kind of the same thing as having the spray and pray method of like just like sending products to influencers or to creators and then letting them do their thing. I think it has its benefits, but I just don't think that it should be 100% of your strategy when sourcing creatives, right? Um, and the second school of thought that I prefer is to make ads non TikTok, right? And it's to basically, instead of like letting the creator have full creative ownership and just like freedom, is to script every single detail of what you're going to be wanting to do in your UGC. Now this is tricky because you can't be doing that with every single creator, because some creator might not really be good at reading the script. They might not be very good at shooting the b-rolls, and it's a whole thing. And that's why also I think it's crucial to work with actors that are either having some sort of roles in small TV shows, or some stuff that they've done on the big screen or behind the camera before. Because the problem with the UGC creators is that while they might be great at shooting some viral TikTok videos or like shooting some b-rolls, when you need them to talk to the camera and like express maybe a notion about like a unique mechanism or something like that, they might not be, very efficient to do that. And again, to come back just one step backwards, if you let the direction to a creator, like you need to keep in mind that these people are not marketers, right? They're creators. They know how to do a hook, sure, but they don't know how to really communicate the outcomes. They don't know how to talk to the limitation and the objection of your audience, and they're going to follow basically just like the same framework that every UGC creator is following, which is basically going to be hook, problem, body, and then CTA, which is okay. That's great, but I don't think that should be the entirety of the marketing effort of a brand. And so, as I said, just going forward, I like to, and like we like to script everything and to storyboard everything, right? So that way, it's really the same thing essentially as a cinema studio, like a TV studio, where they have the script, they go through storyboarding, and for those that don't know storyboarding, essentially they're going to take every single scene and they're going to draw it out. Obviously, you don't really want to do that. I mean, you can with AI now. You can give AI just like your entire script, give it to the AI, and it's going to draw some nice things. And we're experiencing with that. But I think like the easiest way to do it is essentially just have a description of what you want the scene to be, and even better, have some visual reference of like how you want the scene to be, right? And so we have a complete process for like the storyboarding element, which is basically, in my opinion, the most important thing, because you can give someone a script, but if they don't know what to do, what B-rolls to make, how to pronounce, some words, what's the tonality of like some scenes, etc., etc., it's going to be very difficult to make a video that is going to be dynamic and interesting to watch, right? So these are like the first three steps, right? So you're going to have research, finding the creators to basically support your vision, getting all the documents and the documentation and basically the hard material for your vision to come in life. And then once you have that, basically it's like 80% done. If you've done your due diligence in the creator, if you ask and see past work and all of this, like you shouldn't have any problems. Typically these creators take a couple of days to shoot the content, if they maybe have to buy some stuff at the grocery store to do some b-rolls about your product, etc., etc. And then once you get the raw content back, it's about editing it in a way that is entertaining, that has music, that has rhythm, that has subtitles, that has like just like good effects, good transition, and all of this that makes the video come to life from like video editors, right? So that's like the 4-step process for just like producing. It's not very difficult. It's just that, as I said, like it's quite a long like just line of production, and if everyone doesn't really know what's the timeline and what are the specific role that they should be fulfilling, then it can become a shit show very quickly, right? But if you have the SOPs, if you have the systems for everyone to be efficient and really know what they need to be working on and have the right communication, especially if you do it internally for just your brand and not for a lot of clients, well, this is a process that is rather smooth, because even if there's a lot of moving parts, it's not like you need to be making VSL where it's a lot of content to produce, it's a lot of editing. It's like every 2 seconds you need to be changing the stock footage. You need to be finding someone that's going to do the voiceover, maybe like record the thing, a doctor. Like the production with UGC is difficult because there's still a lot of moving parts, but it's like greatly reduced because the type of content is inherently much like faster to produce, and just like it's just better to do. Like it's I don't even know the word, I forgot it, but yeah, it's just easier to do as a whole for UGC. And then once you have the video, well, it's just about testing it and then just doing some more of it, iterating, going back to the drawing board, and yeah, that's about it.
So yeah, it's amazing. I mean, thanks for walking through the whole process there. And in terms of how easy is it, or what challenges have you experienced when people try and, let's say, they know kind of what they need as an end result, but they're trying to fill that position, those positions like talent manager, video editor, etc., internally, to have like an actual team. What challenges have you seen companies run into when trying to build this out themselves?
To me, like the biggest thing is not is finding a great career strategist. because essentially now it's a role that has emerged in the past year or so, which is essentially like someone that has creativity, that understands your response, that understands the production of like everything like process driven, so to say, and then also can bridge the loop between the learnings and what's going on between like the media buying team and then the creative team, right? I don't think that finding a video editor is like very difficult. I think it's like pretty straightforward in itself. Like you just need to find someone that know how to use Premiere Pro, give them a bunch of footage, or like some people put them into some sort of contest, pick the one that is doing the best job in terms of editing. Again, with the boom of like the Hormozy captions and all of this, like there is a ton of video editors that know how to educate, like editate. Sorry, I'm losing my words. With like the proper rhythm, the cuts, and then the subtitles of this. So I don't think that's like very difficult. In my opinion, the most difficult role to fill is going to be the creative strategist, because most of the time you need to be training these people from scratch about all the process that I just walked through. Same thing for like an actor manager or like a talent manager. It's kind of like the same thing. Like it's just someone that is going to be a VA and just like outreaching to a list that you've made, like finding new talents, communicating with them, updating everything. I think like the biggest challenge is not having one centralized system to follow everything. What I've seen on in different teams is that they're going to have make their script at some point, at some places, deal with the talent manager with, I don't know, with Twitter, email, this and that. Like it's not very centralized. They're going to have their video editor upload to another platform, maybe Dropbox or something like that. They might have the actors uploading to Google Drive. It's just like a very scattered and broken, and it's a system in itself, but it's just not very efficient. I run everything on Notion. That way, it's very easy. One thing, but the script, because the script has to be very thorough, which we do on Google Docs. Notion can't have images yet on it, but when we'll have the option, we'll move everything to Notion. But yeah, all the rest is in Notion. That way, we have one centralized system where we can document the learnings, we can get the content, store the content. Everything is going to be there, and it's going to be very easy to follow. Because if you don't have one place where you store everything, it's going to be, again, like very fragmented. You can be have your team members looking for things, not really knowing where it's at, and it's just like overall like not really a good process to be having. So yeah, we like to have something that is very square and organized on Notion.
Got it. So, okay, you get all these pieces in place, right? You got these 4 steps, and you have it all centralized and systematized. What can happen? What can this mean for a company or a brand to actually have this in place, where really good content's being generated? You're seeing how it performs. You're iterating on it. But what are some of the success stories that you've seen when it comes to actually building out this kind of system to continuously deploy direct response UGC based ads?
So I think like, well, obviously when you have a system like this, it's like the main goal is to produce ads that are going to be able to sustain hundreds of thousands of dollars, even sometimes millions, 7 figures. I've seen that happen multiple times, right? It's like not really something that is like impossible. Granted, you have already all the bases covered. You have product market fit, and then all of this. Like you can't expect to have like a normal product, or maybe you can. I don't know. I just didn't have experience. Like we've been working with brands that had this product market fit, and most of the time when it was a bit more difficult on the rest of the business, typically advertising was not as efficient. But for brands that were already doing good, the whole experience and the whole value in having a system like this was volume, basically. Because with Facebook now, it used to be essentially like you just like leverage cheap CPMs and cheap traffic, and then that's how you build your business, right? You just like get the traffic, and then your AOV is higher, so that way your CPA is lower, and then you make a business out of this. Most people now, they just know that it doesn't work anymore, right? So we went from like testing audiences and making some low impact tests on Facebook to basically having to make more creatives and taking more shots at different audiences, different angles, to just open different markets and like reach more people with a more like convincing brand message, essentially, right? And so the whole benefit of having a system like this is going to be about to essentially not forget, but have a system, as I said at the beginning of the call, that allows you to be a farmer, right? So it doesn't really matter what you're going to be doing as the business owner. If you have just a career strategist and a video editor, you can make everything work, and then you don't have to really, you have to pay attention to it, of course, your business, right? But it's not like you're going to be have to be involved in every single step of the process to produce the creatives anymore, right? It's going to be something that, you know, lives and breathes, going to produce creatives day in, day out, and the only thing is going to be about scaling your output, right? And then it's essentially it's just like a system to produce what we call an industry bankers, right? It's like these ads that can sustain a lot of money, uh, and then the whole system is about taking more shots so you can increase your win rate. And win rate basically means how many banger ads are you finding out of like 100 ads you're going to produce, right? Typically 10-15% is already a lot, right? Because one ad is going to be basically paying for the whole system that you install once, right? Once you have these pieces, obviously you're going to try to optimize it, find ways to, you know, reduce waste, etc., etc. But there's only so much that you can optimize. Once you have the production process, it is going to be a process that you're going to, you know, just like work with for the next, you know, months, years, and hopefully decades, right? Um, and then you can see that with cinema, like they probably try to find, you know, ways in like how they produce movies, but the flow of it stays the same and has been the same for like now years and years and decades, right? And so just to reiterate, the whole system essentially is to increase your output so you can make more ads, increase the shots that you're taking so you can increase the chances and the odds that you're going to be finding this 1 or 2 or 3 ads that are going to be taking your ad account to the next level, and therefore your business, right? That's the whole thing, right? If you can, especially on Facebook, less on TikTok, and I don't know about YouTube Shorts that much. It's more like the Vidtao experience. But on Facebook, it's not really uncommon, as I said, to find ads that spends hundreds of thousands of dollars. And once you find just one, typically is enough to really like, you know, scale your spend rather aggressively and then quickly as well, right?
Got it. And then just, you know, to elaborate on that, like what kind of ROAS can you see when you do find these winning creatives?
Well, this is difficult to answer, to be honest. It's something that is going to be, you know, like very dependent on your product, your industry, your economics, all of this. If you're a supplement, you know, it depends. Like I've seen supplements be, you know, like normal ROAS. It's not going to be like the performance is not going to be crazy, right? But it's again like the amount of shots that you take for the amounts of money that you're gonna have to spend for the creatives, right? Compare like making a bunch of UGC to having to make a like 2 VSL with like doctors and all of this, and like having a script with a copywriter is going to cost you, you know, $20,000 to $50,000, right? The level of like input that you need to be putting into the two is vastly different. Obviously, if you really hit a winner with like a big ad, it's also going to scale. It's also going to give you amazing results. The only difference is like how scrappy can you be with your UGC, right? You can really bring the cost low and test a lot, right? If you want to test an hypothesis, if you want to test an angle, if you want to test a video, you don't need to be like waiting for a copywriter, for a video editor to, you know, edit it for a month. You can just like, okay, well, we have an idea. Let's, you know, hit up this creator. She already has the product. Here's the script. We can do it in 2 hours max with ChatGPT and AI. Here's the storyboard. Again, like 34, 45 minutes, something like that. Boom, we send it. 3 days later, we have the content. We edit it in a day or two. We have the content. Boom, live, and then we can learn and see how it goes. Right. That's the whole premise of UGC is how scrappy can you be. It's just like compressing the process of like advertising. So ROAS, there's no definitive answer, and in my opinion, ROAS is not the best metric to look at. Like it's really about your CA, but it's not. So to answer your question about the kind of results that you can see, if you're writing good scripts and making good ads, it's not uncommon that you can reduce your CPA by, you know, 15, 20, 25%, 30%. It has happened multiple times, and it's still continuing to happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, so Sasha, you ready to explain what we're planning to do with people who are interested?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just think that, you know, as a agency co-owner, you know, we have a very robust creative team ourselves. I've just been so impressed with everything that Sasha's done, and so we've been really excited to actually collaborate and give everyone here an opportunity to actually build everything that Sasha's describing, build it out inside your business yourself. So with our help, and this is something that we're going to be doing starting next Wednesday. So let me just walk you through what we have in lines here. Let's see. Okay. I'm having issues sharing my screen. One sec. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Sasha, you see my screen?
Not yet, but I think it's
Okay.
yeah.
How about now? Okay. So basically what we're doing is, we're going to, over the next 8 weeks, we're going to be, we just talked about a lot of this here. The challenges that come with actually building out UGC, the opportunities of UGC based ads on obviously meta platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, also YouTube Shorts. This is something that we're seeing directly, is a lot of opportunity in building it out over the next 8 weeks, building out a direct response UGC factory inside your business. So being able to systematically source content, like Sasha said, get this creative control so that your talent is actually delivering what it is that you want, and then producing the content, rapidly iterating it, and just getting this flow of quality ads going so you can find more winners. It's all about that increasing that creative volume. And a lot of what Sasha's been describing, I mean, we've been looking at are these really robust SOPs. So basically things like this planning and testing tracker, which is essentially the brain of your ad efforts in terms of iterating.
And to me, that's like sorry to interrupt, but that's the most important part of like being a media buyer and running a business, because I would say a good 80% of the media buyers, or even more than that, are essentially just like, okay, we're going to test this creative, we're going to test this, the CPA is not good, but like essentially they're just like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and never documenting everything, right? And then the people that really know what they're doing plan first and document everything about what they're doing. Because if you don't do that, if you don't plan, if you don't document, well, you're never really learning anything. And what's more than that, if you have a media buyer, for example, or creative strategist that doesn't have this kind of like documentation, essentially like this person is going to test a lot of stuff, but it's always going to be inside their brain, right? It's never going to be on paper. And so if you have new people coming in to help, or if you need to fire this person, well, you're left with nothing essentially. All the knowledge that the media buying team or the creative team is gathering, if they're not documenting it, it's lost knowledge. Because unless you keep like you think they're going to work with you forever, and most of the time it's not the case, like you just don't have access to the knowledge anymore, right? And so documenting this is crucial, because not only it's important for new hires and for you to see what's going on, it's about, okay, well, we're going to plan this angle with this hook, with this, that, etc. We're going to test it, and then if you do that and you document everything, a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, if you document every single thing, you can know, and you have clarity over what's working and what's not working for you, right? And if you don't have that, or you're always going to be shooting, just like in the dark, basically. You're going to be blind over what's going on in your business.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So making sure that you're building that knowledge base and understanding what you've actually tested versus having it distributed in a bunch of people's heads. So that's fantastic. So tell us more about the video editing cheat sheet that we have here.
So essentially, like the editing cheat sheet is not, it's not like a super complicated process, to be honest. Like it's just like to like give to like your video editing team or like your video editor to just like have some guidance about what to do and what not to do, basically the do's and don'ts of like video editing. It's really not like rocket science, to be honest. Like most of the time you just have to put all the clips that you have on the timeline, make sure that everything is good, put it like the subtitles on, transitions that look good, etc., etc. It's just essentially like checklist and like processes for people to follow and to make sure that they can refer to something if they forget something. Again, like all these things are stuff that like you would know inherently after conducting the business for a while, but just having it as a rock solid process and then optimizing the process, updating it when you change something is very important, because again, if you want to scale, you're going to need the help of people, right? You can't stay, I mean, you can stay lean, right? But you can have to hire more people. And if you don't have all this training and all this material that people can go through to get educated about your way of doing content, well, it's going to be energy wasted, it's going to be time wasted, it's going to be you being pissed off when there's something that doesn't go right. And then why just complicate yourself, like your life, when you can have something that is like, you do it once, you have the SOP, you give it to your team during the onboarding phase, or like even right now, and then you don't have to think about it twice. So that's why it's a no-brainer to have all these SOPs there.
Yeah, and I just to add one more thing to that. It's we have multiple editors on our team, and this is often challenging when you're trying to scale modularly by adding more people to your team, is having the same set of standards. So this checklist is amazing for really aligning everyone so that you can add a new team member and they're going to be up to speed immediately, and there's going to minimize the back and forth and just the wasted time and reduce lead time. So let's talk about this direct response encyclopedia. This is really cool, actually. I love this, how you built this.
So this is so whenever we try to ideate something, whether it's an angle or a video, we always come from a direct response principle approach first. Is like all these principles are coming from like the OGs of like Eugene Schwartz, like Gar Halbert, also like more recently Systematizing. All these principles to like basically convince people to buy is what we start from with the ideation phase, right? We always have a reason and a principle that we leverage in the video, so it's not just what I call basically blank ads. There's a lot of ads like this from brands where they just have a creator and then take the product and say, hey, I love this product, because it has benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3. Here's call to action, and boom, that's it, right? When you go a bit deeper, again, it happens on the research phase, right? But this is a nice resource that I like referencing. It has all the principles from like breakthrough advertising and a bunch of other stuff that I've added that are pretty handy when it comes to like writing headlines, having ideas for script and all of this. So this is, in my opinion, a bit more for UGC. It doesn't really go in depth about like all the different principles that you're going to be using for like a 50-minute long BSL, but this is definitely helpful to just like get the brain moving.
Yeah, and what I like about it too is it uncovers any holes that you forgot in terms of, are you making a complete sales argument in the UGC or perhaps in the UGC plus landing page arrangement? So this really helps you identify all that, and you have many frameworks here. I mean, this is just a screenshot of part of this. Right. So and then we have, so how do you ideate ad concepts? So this is a really cool formula that you built, or actually how to come up with new ad ideas quickly and effectively.
Yeah. Again, like it starts from like the thing that I described at the beginning of like watering your brain, having ideas, going elsewhere, looking at direct response elements, all of this, and basically that's been my formula to just like come up with ideas, and so it's just like listed out there in a checklist matter, like all SOPs essentially.
Yeah, and then so this is really cool too. I mean, you mentioned the importance of this is why you're hiring actors, is to get this, whatever you design with all of these different direct response elements and looking at what's working, etc. How do you actually make sure that you're getting the shots that you want so that you can make these amazing ads like you envision? And so the storyboarding step seems to be incredibly crucial. How to storyboard like this.
It is. It's quite easy, to be honest. Like it's very easy. You just need to basically put the type of shot that you want, the shot type, like maybe some post production details, etc., etc. It's incredibly easy, but I think it's like very important, because most of people are going to be directing these talents remotely, right? And then you can't jump on a call with every single talent that are going to be shooting a video for you to ask them to make the camera like this, or say the line like this. And so the more information that you can put, up front on this document about, again, as I said, like the lighting type, the camera angle, how you want the tonality to be for this line. If you want them to do a specific B-roll, maybe you can record yourself, or or someone in your team, doing something with a GIF, or all the information that you can is basically going to serve as almost as if you were on set with them and directing them, right? And this is the closest that we find, the solution to basically work with these people that are remote. And even if you pay them good money, so to say, like a couple $100 per video, they're still not incentivized to make the best content of their life, right? They make great content, but if you just give them the bare minimum, well, they're just going to give you the bare minimum. If you have higher standards, and if you really put in the work beforehand and before giving it to them, well, you have more chances of getting good content back.
Got it. And then this is another sort of part of your secret sauce, really, is how to actually source the best actors. So you've made you've wasted a lot of money in the process of getting to this very streamlined approach. So I think
Yeah,
this is amazing.
it's as streamlined as possible. It's just like something that is always going to be an issue no matter what, because I mean, like, whenever you have to deal with people, whether it's actors or people in your team or customers, it's always going to be rocky. You can think about like the refund rate for your customers. Here you're going to have actors that are ghosting you, or flaky, not really incentivized, as I said, wanting more money. Like, all these problems are going to happen. And then this is where basically, the second part of the actors that is a bit below the resource is about the actor database, right? So it's 150 different actors that are proven and vetted personally by me about their videos. We've either worked with them extensively, or have approved their content and what they did through a checklist and a vetting approval process that we've created. And essentially, it's like just like good people that do great work. And it saves a lot of time working with great people, because when you don't have to do reshoots, when you don't have to negotiate like crazy for more money, or when you don't have people ghosting you, well, your content just comes faster.
For sure. And so this is just another very action oriented SOP on how to do a mashup of a bunch of different UGC. So tell us more about the kinds of success you've seen with this format of ad.
So I think it's not necessarily only about the success, right? Because, like, again, it's like very dependent. Sometimes mashups are going to work well. Sometimes they're not going to work for like 4 brands, right? It's like really dependent on everything. I see mashup a little bit differently. I see mashup as like all the raw content that you have from ads that might or might not be working is essentially like something that can be reusing, right? If you structure your content properly, if you just like don't think about an ad as being just one piece of content and one video, well, you can turn a lot of like different pieces. For example, if you structure your videos with like a modular structure, the same way you would do with a sales letter, for example, you have your hook, your problem, your agitate, your product intro, your product benefits, your product outcome, for example, maybe some authority. And so everything is like a block that lives on its own. Well, all these blocks can be reused further down the line, right? And my favorite thing with mashups is essentially like just test new ideas without having to commit to like new resources and new stuff and new people to shoot the product to. And essentially, like, quick and easy way to test like a video. Maybe like you take a TikTok voiceover, assemble a quick ad with like some b-roll, some stuff, some people talking, etc., etc. Then you have an ad that might not be the best ad, but it's an ad that is like extremely cheap, very easy to produce. You don't have to rely on other people to produce anything, and you can test a lot of ideas very quickly, right? In my opinion, it's really about that, as everyone says, like money loves speed. And if you can have the potential to really test a lot and very rapidly for cheap, well, you win.
Got it. Love it. Love that. How you are using that to, again, repurpose this content and test new ideas without doing full reshoots. Okay, so here's this. This is really cool. So this is how to just, again, hit the ground running, and like you said, money loves speed. Here's how to, these 42 lazy angles, just kind of swipe and deploy. Use these in Chat GPT, etc. These are really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the stuff that I don't really like doing, because I like having a bit more creativity and going through research, etc., etc. But I think like this is again, like you can't just have the same ads across your whole marketing efforts, right? You need diversity, you need different style of content. And I think everything has its place. Like you have the normal UGC that you just send to a customer and that just people give the testimonial. You have these kind of like angles where it's just like 3 reasons why, or like TikTok made me buy, stuff like that. And then you have your more, thoughtful angles and thoughtful research that, you've done, a bit more in depth. And I think like this is a good media mix. Also to think about like different ways to communicate to different segments of the audience, like the awareness stage. If a specific hook or a specific angle or a specific concept is working to a specific type of people in their awareness stage, like there's a lot of things to consider. But this kind of resource is great to just like plug and play, and again like hit the ground running.
Nice. And this is really crucial too, this next SOP, which is a quality control checklist. Basically, you can just hand it to your VA and tell us more about the importance of this.
Yeah, well, again, like the whole goal of like building like systems in your business is for you to basically regain your time, right? You don't want to have to, at a certain stage, have your either you or your CMO that you're paying a lot of money, or your COO like overseeing, like every single detail of like if a video is okay with like some subtitles, if you have typos in it, like all of this is stuff that like you shouldn't be really having to worry, right? And so um, the premise of like having checklists and SOPs is really to be able to hire people, not necessarily in the US. I mean, like that's how everyone is doing it, but just people that are people are hungry and hustlers that can follow specific checklists, and then you can just like reduce waste and reduce the amount of mistakes that your team as a whole is making.
Got it. And this is obviously hot right now, with AI, using AI for research angles and scripts. And I know you leverage it a lot for everything that you do.
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, like we used to have like a full time copywriter at the agency, but obviously, like it's great to have a copywriter, honestly. But I think like if you can train someone to the principles of direct response and also the principles of good writing, because I see in this industry of like direct response, um, a lot of times people tend to really like not really pay attention to the writing part a lot. But in my opinion, especially with this type of content where people have to, communicate and deliver the script in a natural way, in a way that flows properly. If you write a UGC script the same way you write just like a TSL, for example, well, it's going to be difficult, right? Because you're not going to have the same connectors, not going to have the same transitions, and it's really important to have at least the basics of your response and the basics of like learning how to write. And then once you have these two, everyone can just like go to ChatGPT, give the angle, give the structure with the modules, and kind of the elements of like how you want to structure the script, and then basically just ask ChatGPT to write something like that. And then obviously you're gonna have to change something, rewrite some stuff, etc., etc. But this is where the quality control comes after, about like if the script, like if the claims have meaning, if like all of this is really important to really like quality check after ChatGPT. And essentially, like the whole premise, in my opinion, with that, it's not that ChatGPT is going to replace copywriter; it's that it's going to turn them into copy chief rather than copywriter, right? And so that's how we leverage it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just add to that. I mean, we've been doing a lot of last 6 months, for VidTile. We've been doing a lot of AI experimentation, and we're going to be sharing a lot of this with everyone soon.
That's great.
But
That's great.
but yeah, really looking forward to exploring with everyone who's going to work with us and Sasha. Just one example. I mean, I don't know if anyone's on the call has tried Claude 2 yet, but if you go to Poe.com, you can try Claude 2, and Claude 2 has 100,000 token context window. So compare that to, I think, GPT, the Chat GPT has, I think it's either 8,000 or 32,000, but it's much smaller. So, and also you can upload documents straight to Claude 2. So you can basically say like, hey, here are some UGC scripts that I think are going to perform really well. And you can have, structured, hey, this is what someone said, this is what was on the screen. Here's a description of the frame, with the storyboards, and then basically say, here's my product. Now write me 5 scripts similar to that, highlighting the top 3 problems that people in my market face. And it's pretty unbelievable. I mean, actually, Claude 2 is, in terms of emulating style, I'm finding it to be much better, and just there's always something new coming out, like every other day. So we'll keep you abreast.
I think like the important thing with these tools with ChatGPT is to really like give it constraints about like working with ChatGPT and with these AI tools about like how do we make sure that like we really give them enough information and they really understand it properly, and really like not give them too much freedom about how to operate.
For sure.
And I found the best success to work with these tools like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited to explore that with everyone too. I think there's a lot of interesting things we can do here. And then so iterating on existing ads. So obviously, right? So avoiding creative fatigue. Even the best banger you produce is going to decay at some point. So I love how you have this processized, systematized, how to iterate.
Yeah, I think creative fatigue is definitely something that happens. In my experience, not as much as people like to think. Like, I've had some brands like they would spend like maybe like 1,000 per week, or per day. I want to say, like, and then think that they have creative fatigue. I think like creative fatigue is approach in the wrong matter for most people. Is they make ads that talk to a segment of your audience that is too small, right? With Facebook, especially right now, with like Advantage Plus campaign and all of this, like going broad, you don't like we don't control the user experience, right? Facebook serve the ad to people that think it's going to react the best, right? With like the formula of like estimated action rate and all of this. I won't go too much into details, but in my experience, like creative fatigue has really been about people that make ads that talk to a too small portion of the audience. Typically, like we discussed in the previous podcast that we did about like this solution state versus problem state, right? They just like basically make ads more like for bottom of funnel, and like don't really try to create demand. They rather like capture it with their ads, and this is how essentially like the ads is going to fatigue. Because one thing that was very interesting and that was very eye-opening for me, which I learned from Alan, is basically he was saying that scale happens because of commonality, right? Your message is talking to a group of people broad enough that they have enough commonality, right? But when you really scale and then you go above and beyond this group of people that have the same thing in common, you're going to have people that don't have the same thing in common, right? And so the message that you're going to basically communicate is not going to be the appealing to everyone, because it's like you're going to have some people in the group that are not really concerned about that anymore, right? And so that will also what we were talking about the last time is how do we optimize more for like limitations, right? And again, like props to Alan for that. But like this makes a lot of sense, because like you really talk about like the objections rather than what people are looking for and have in common, right? But iterating on existing ads to me is more about making more of what's working already. So like for VSL people, you're gonna have one VSL that really works, or you're gonna have to split test the leads, split the hook, etc., etc. And it's kind of the whole premise with UGC too, right? If you have an UGC that works, well, maybe it's going to be the actor that is going to like doing a very good job. Maybe it's the angle, maybe it's the delivery, maybe it's the script. And so all these split tests that you can do are very easy ways to make more content. It's not guaranteed to hit the same thing, like the same way that your initial good ad is working. But again, you're taking more shots, and then just stacking the odds in your favor to make more banker ads, essentially, right? That's again the whole premise of it.
Got it. Yeah, and then so moving forward and tying a lot of this together, the creative operating system. So tell us more about this creative OS that
Yeah.
can be sharing.
Yeah, so essentially, like this is this is a pretty basic thing. It's like a compound board, but it's just like to have your whole team, like just like working your project management. Like you can do that in Asana or Trello or Monday. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It's just to be able to follow your project. So if you have multiple brands, have multiple views. If you have multiple clients, you have multiple people and like multiple clients. It's just to have like again one place where you organize everything, and then you can see the progress of every single effort and piece of content that is produced, right? So you might have a piece of content that is in the middle of like getting the actor to shoot the content, or one that has some problem that needs some revision, ones that need approval from the person that is like kind of like overseeing everything, one that is not started, one in process about the script writing. So it's just about like a quick glance, seeing what everyone is working on when you have a team, and this is what we've been running the agency on. So that's the best system in my opinion. Notion is a really good tool because you can even have templates about like the briefing templates. You can have copywriting briefing, like if you want to do your script on Notion. Some other stuff that you can just like run everything out of here and have like different pages with different templates and different information.
Yeah, and this is all stuff that this is we're going to be working with directly and helping people install into their business. And then so we have these UGC self-production guidelines. So what's this all about?
So essentially, like this is another step to communicate to your talents, right? So obviously, for the list that we have access to and that we give access to, not really required to do that. But like for example, if you're going to be working with like older people is a challenge to work with, right? Like they don't really necessarily know how to shoot content too well, or they don't know how to do some specific things that you want them to do. And so having some sort of guidelines that you can send them and like they can review it is very crucial to do for the actors. More so the actors that you don't have experience with and you haven't worked with before, right? It's like more resources that you can send them, the better, because the more chances you'll have of getting better content.
And then these are some ad frameworks. So micro modular UGC ad frameworks. I love how you break down the creative into really, again, coming back to the storyboarding, these little micro scenes and putting these different elements of content together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, like I was always explaining before, like an ad is not just an ad; it's like made of like different scenes and different shots and different take on the shots. So, for example, you're gonna have your ad frameworks, you're gonna have your problem, your hook, etc., etc. But you're gonna have also like different ways to introduce your problem. You're gonna have different ways to introduce your product intro, for example. You're gonna have different ways to introduce your benefits. Maybe it's gonna be more outcome or more like feature based or more like feature and benefits. For example, like for the product intro, you might have like different, depending on your product. For example, if it's a baby product or a pregnant mom product, maybe like most of these people discover most of the products through like Facebook groups for moms or like WhatsApp conversation with their mom friends, or maybe it's like a product maybe like for nail fungus. Maybe this time it's going to be doctor, or maybe they're going to see on TV. So you have like different ways, different takes about like this different element, and it's also very helpful then to document that and for iteration, because say that you have a winning ad, your problem is introduced a certain way, your product intro is introduced a certain way. Well, an easy split test is to change the way you introduce the product intro, is to change the problem and how deep it goes, or how affecting it is for people, is to change the outcome, is to change like different ways of like these different scenes, right? And this makes iteration very easy and also like very repeatable and very like systemized for your system.
Got it. And then so again, like you mentioned before, there's the whole challenge of actually managing the talent, right? So outreach
Yep.
and managing the product shipping, content receiving, etc. So we also have this actor CRM that you use.
Yep, absolutely. It's crucial to do that because otherwise it's going to be very difficult. Depending on your output, if you're a single brand, usually it should be okay. But if you really produce a lot of creatives, or if you have multiple brands, or if you even an agency trying to produce that, it's crucial for your actor or your talent manager to basically be able to follow what actor is doing what, if they're needing more support. Just like having a quick glance and being disciplined to document everything. Otherwise, it can really also become a shit show very, very easily.
Yeah, for sure. And then this ties into that. I know you've already brought it up, but basically, this is unbelievable. Having a vetted UGC actor database. So again, there's just removing the guesswork entirely. You can reach out to these people. There's phone number, social profiles, email, etc. And these are all people who you've worked with. You know they deliver quality content. There's a lot of variety here, just in terms of whatever product you're trying to sell. There's probably a few people in this list that you can reach out
You
to.
have almost everything. You have white people, black people, Asian people, ginger hair, old people, young people. You have a lot of variety. There's only 150, but I think here it's more about quality and testing these people. And then once you have a couple of videos already done, then it's going to be a challenge for you to basically outreach to more people, post on groups, like go to these platforms and just continue to populate this database to have more and more actors, because it just becomes very easy to do after you've reached a certain point in how many people you have, because you can basically just filter out quickly by, okay, well, maybe I want someone that is blonde with blue eyes, or maybe I want someone that is black, maybe I want someone that is old. I can just filter out my database, have this many people, just take the email, boom, send them an email, see who's available, see how much they want for the video, and it just becomes very easy to do. Again, it's all about having a system and having processes that support your whole production.
Yeah, and this is a fast track to getting this whole thing going. Obviously, there's a lot of detail and process around sourcing new people, but this is just the fast track, just handed to you so that you could have someone shooting your stuff today, which is amazing. So, I mean, this is the core. This is the sort of material that we're going to be covering over the 8 weeks. So these are the systems and processes. But it's one thing to just give these to you and have you install them inside of Notion, or have your team rebuild them in whatever project management software you use. That's a lot. There's a lot of value there. There's a tremendous amount of value, but that's just one aspect of what we want to do. We actually want to work side by side with you to install this in your business and get you up and running with all these different systems, so that you, again, have this direct response UGC factory running. So we're going to be working together over the next 8 weeks. Again, this starts on Wednesday, so next Wednesday, and we're going to be basically Sasha and our Vidtal and Supply team is going to be working with you to implement this in your business. And so how that's going to work is we're going to have a pop-up group inside of Circle. So Circle is it's a forum software. And so we're going to have a group in there for 24/7 access. So not only are you going to get to network with a lot of amazing other marketers, but our whole team is going to be in there. Sasha's going to be in there, and we're there 24/7 to give you one-on-one feedback and help you actually implement all this. So that's one big component of what we're doing. And then also, we're going to have weekly 2-hour implementation calls. So these are where you can get live feedback. We're going to be walking through the material each and every week over these 8 weeks. And so that's how we're approaching it. And obviously the calls will be recorded if you can't make them. And then, so what are we going to be covering week by week, Sasha? How's this going to work?
So the first week is going to be about everything that we just talked about, the 4-step system of researching, understanding the customer psychology. We have the how to find the angles, how to source the talents, how to manage the talents with every single SOP, implement them. We have one more thing that's a little bit more hands-on with Facebook, etc. Is basically how to test for estimated action rate all your ideas before you even have to commit too much resources to it. So for example, you have ideas about different angles. Well, you can test different headlines on Facebook and see and test already for the actual estimated action rate. I don't know if everyone is familiar with this concept, but basically that's Facebook's internal way to basically grade your ads based on how likely someone is going to be taking action, right? And so I have a very efficient way to test for that is very inexpensive on Facebook, to be testing everything very quickly without even having to basically commit a lot of resources and a lot of time to producing videos, right? So you have essentially, it's not guaranteed that the winners that you're going to have within this test is going to be, like crazy ads. But I like to think that the more you do, and the more, again, shots you take, and the more system you have for that, the more likely you're going to be finding success, right? It's really about like being intentional about how you make advertising work versus like really like trying to spray and pray, and like either like not really committing to it or committing too much with too much resources, right? We need to be finding the right balance between the two.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've seen this connect strongly with the angles that you end up handing to your creators to produce full form videos. So I think this is just super powerful framework. Fantastic. So yeah, covering all this pre-production stuff so that in week 2, what are we getting into?
Week 2, this is typically when we'll be more, moving towards like really producing stuff. So once we'll have confirmation about the angles, it's kind of depends on if you want to do the test that I just told you about or not. It's not really something mandatory. We don't do it off like, every single time. But, after that, we have a bit more confirmation about where we're going to go, we, write the scripts, storyboard everything. We're going to have templates and like basically understanding how to write these scripts. I'm not a copywriting expert, but I've written hundreds of scripts. And again, it's not like long form, like it's very short form. But in my opinion, it's even harder to write because you basically have to really like every single line in your script has to earn the right to be there, has to has meaning, has to not say something that is going to turn people off. So it's really about being conscious of like what not to say in the script. So it's really about like being intentional and careful about how you write everything, right? So the first step is going to be about writing the script, and then the second step is going to be about storyboarding, like we said, about giving all the informations, building your internal, shot types, all of this. So yeah, we'll walk through everything about that on week 2. Probably going to be also maybe like do some tear downs about some headlines, how to write the headlines, how to write the hook, all the good stuff.
Yeah, and again, this is not just, there's obviously the material we're going to be covering on these calls, but we're in these groups all day, every day. So we're working together as much as you need inside of Circle all day, every day. So 24/7, Sasha and our team. So there to support you. And then so week 3, we move into production and post-production.
So this will probably be the easiest part of everything, right? It's more about like how do you make sure that your editing team is set up for success. How do you keep them curious? How do you keep them efficient about like editing everything? Quality controls, like just having the rock solid processes about like how to pump out the curious, because at the end of the day, like scripting, storyboarding, having the ideas, even like shooting the content is probably the thing that is going to take you the least amount of time. It's just like every single piece like added together takes a couple of weeks. But what's really taking a lot of time, depending on the length of your script, the length of your videos, is going to be the editing, right? So if you make 2-minute long videos and you make 6 of it, it's going to take some time, right? So you need to be having good video editors. We'll cover how to find video editors, how to hire them, all the good stuff as well. How to communicate the SOPs with them, just like setting you up for success for that side of the production.
And then we get to week 4, putting it all together.
Yeah. So week 4 is all about like getting on Facebook, testing, and again like doing the estimated action rate, understanding the idea of like scientific testing, control campaigns, dynamic creative testing, headline tests, like all the good stuff on Facebook that I really enjoy, like giving high level, just strategy. So this is, like just like closing the loop about like how to iterate, how to read your data, how to optimize, how to scale, and how to leverage other stuff such as like direct posting that we'll also cover here with someone else. But yeah, that's basically closing the loop for everything that you're going to be learning how to do. And again, just want to have a quick disclaimer, like all the stuff that I'm going to be teaching is stuff that has been tried and tested and proven to work. It's not like a like the only way to win by all means. It's just like something that we've been developing, that I've been working on, and that I've been finding success with. In my opinion, like the best way to do it. Otherwise, I would just do it differently. But that's just like my way and my sauce So yeah, just wanted to clarify that.
Absolutely. And then so, that's the first 4 weeks are really about imparting this information and these systems into your business. And then we don't just stop there. We want to actually help you get this entirely up and running and actually generating these ads and testing these ads. So weeks 5 through 8, we're still going to have all that support inside the circle. So all day, every day, we're there at your disposal. And we're going to have these, these weekly Q&A calls are going to continue so that we can just continue to help you implement and test and launch and scale all of this.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
again, just to add on that, like it's a UGC course, but I'm more of like a full stack marketer. I like marketing as a whole, direct response, copywriting, offers, etc., etc. So like it's not only made for only like UGC and production, because like once we have the system for that, there's going to be some question, but after that we can talk about offers and how to maximize everything. Like just like me showing and sharing what I've learned, working with a lot of like, you know, 8-figure brands, like a lot of them that I've seen behind the brands, what like behind the scenes, what they do, etc. So just like be sharing about that as well. The Vitao team as well about what they do on YouTube. So it's just going to be an open group about everything related to creative, whether it's like offer or anything like that, that fits into the funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about helping you, obviously, getting not only the system launched, but also helping you with all the other important components like boosting your AOV, taking a look at your conversion rates, the CRO, the email follow-up, etc. So we're really excited about that. And then we have bonuses too that we're gonna be including to really help accelerate all these different aspects. So Sasha, tell us more about, you've done amazing stuff on the Meta platforms. And so tell us more about this media buying scale roadmap.
Right. So essentially, like for I believe a few people, it's going to be like not everyone can have access to that because it's going to be taking a little bit of time. But essentially, it's just going to be me auditing the account, like the structure, the ads itself, and then also iterating for you, not iterating, but ideating for you on like different concepts, different angles, a bunch of ads basically done for you, essentially, that are going to be produced by your internal team. So not done for you completely about like me producing the ads, but more about like high level strategy for everything that is happening into your ad account.
Right. So in addition to that, so basically for people who, just to clarify, so for people who buy today, right now we're going to get to what that entails, investment, etc. Sasha is going to include what he just described, which is very hands-on. And again, Sasha he does full stack marketing consulting, and this is super valuable what he just described in terms of really giving you these campaigns and these ads in the format that he just described. And similarly on our side on Vitao, so we're talking about YouTube Shorts, so helping you get an action plan for that, and also just doing a full Google account audit. So search, performance max, all the video, display, etc. So we've managed over $200 million on YouTube, on Google. And we're going to help you really come up with a scaling plan for that. So again, this is just for people who buy today. So we'll get to more on that. But then this actually, the dark posting, this is going to be something that we're going to make available to everyone. But can you tell us more about John Hagen and the dark posting?
Right. So John is a very good friend of mine that I've been working with for a long time. So he used to run an agency called Volt Agency that managed like hundreds of millions of dollars. And the main service that they were providing was dark posting, right? So essentially, he's going to teach you how to execute, strategize, and like the whole operation about like maybe not everything, but like the high level strategies about how to execute dark posting, which is in my opinion, a criminally underutilized strategy on Facebook and also maybe less on TikTok because like Spark ads are getting their fair share. But on Facebook is really underutilized, and basically we're going to take all the content you produce with your creators and then try to negotiate deals with them to basically run ads from their handle, right? So you're gonna have this part, and then John, most of his experience has not been necessarily with creators, the process is the same, but has been with influencers, with people that have more following, and basically help brands piggyback out of the authority that the influencers are providing, right? So the whole thing, this whole experience is the dark posting guru. He's worked with brands like Snow. He scaled a jeweler brand called Purelay, to crazy amounts, 9 figures. Care Off, and a lot of other brands. You can go check him out. He's a very well known in the industry. Very very smart guy as well. So he'll be joining us for a special kind of webinar like this for an hour, probably towards the end of the course when we've covered everything for the production. After that, we'll be working with him to help you guys, like just leverage dark posting, which is again an amazing opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, super excited about that. And then just getting to instructors. So obviously Sasha, humble guy, but he's worked with some very, very big brands in a lot of different spaces, and super systems oriented, but I mean, complete full stack marketing genius, as I know you're seeing through all the content that he's been sharing with us. So, and unbelievable opportunity to work with you, Sasha. And then our team, so Vital and Inceptly, this is our agency. So we managed over $200 million in ad spend for very scrappy D2C brands, all the way up to very well funded, billion-dollar valuation companies like Viome, Descript, ClickFunnels, Huel, many, many more. So we're in there with you to support you. And again, however we can help you get success, Sasha and our team are there for you to really accelerate your progress. And so just want to step forward to the investment. So obviously for some people, it might make sense to have, you got a lot on your plate and you just want to have this whole thing installed, hands off, right? All the hiring done for you, all the editing done for you, and just everything pre-built and handed to you on a silver platter. So I know some people like to operate like that. So we have an option for that, which is $20,000. And over these 8 weeks, we're going to build this and launch this for you, and then hand it to you up and running with staff, hired out and everything ready to go. So you can go from scratch to having this built out entirely, hands off. You can do that. So for $20,000. And if you want to work up with that in that capacity, then just email us info@vidtao.com with DFY UGC Factory in the subject line, and we'll get you set up. We can talk about that. The other option is really what we've been talking about, which is more of a collaborative approach where we help you build it and we're there to support you right by your side for these 8 weeks. Obviously, the circle groups, live Q&A calls, etc. And so, I really believe in this, in this curriculum, and this is obviously the first time we've been launching this. Price next time we do this is probably going to be double what we're proposing here, but just because this is the first group, you want to make it as easy as possible. Yes, you to sign up and join us. So to us to help you build it, it's $2,000. So this is for the 8-week training cohort. We provide all the SOPs, all the blueprints, etc., and we help you install it in your business. And we work with you to get it up and running so that at the end of the 8 weeks, you're self-sufficient and you can run this. You and your team can run this yourself. And like Sasha said earlier, we're teaching you how to hunt here so that this is a skill set that's embedded in your business moving forward. So
we're teaching you how to farm, not
how to farm. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Got the analogy wrong there. The analogy, the teaching, giving someone a fish versus teaching them to fish. That was what I was going for.
Right,
so,
but I understand the
farming. Yeah, exactly. No, farming. Again, we're helping you build the farm, right? So again, the 24/7 access to us inside of Circle. And actually, Vesna, if you could pop the sales page URL in the chat, and so people can actually take a look at this, and I'll do it in a sec. So yeah, here's the thing though, this is a real live course, so there is a hard real deadline here, which is Tuesday night at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, because we start next Wednesday. So we're getting up and running next Wednesday. So got to get in before that. And again, next time we run this, it's going to be significantly more expensive. I know the value that Sasha and our team is going to bring here is going to blow you away. And especially in this day and age of, media buying becoming more and more of a black box scenario on all platforms. creative is king, and this is really a way to leverage one of the most amazing creative opportunities that it has ever come across our plates, which is really using user-generated content to generate direct response ads that drive results. So again, there's a deadline, and for today, anyone who signs up, we're going to do this Facebook Meta planning session with Sasha, and also the scaling plan on Google from our VidTal team. So that opportunity, if you sign up before midnight tonight Pacific, get access to that. And yeah, I'll post the link now. We can open it up for questions. Just give me one sec here.
Yeah, I think I saw some questions from Austin. What are the best types of pages to send these types of creatives to? Honestly, it depends. I think like probably the best would be to advertorials, product pages, landing pages, of course. Something that I haven't tried it yet, but I think like having more like continuity between the creator, and then the page, maybe like including more images for the creator, and then maybe like leveraging like something like dark posting, having like maybe not for a creator, like, but having an influencer do that would make a lot of sense. So just like hypothesis for now, but just like thought of it when you asked the question. But yeah, I would say definitely advertorials, VL sales works as well. I see a ton of stuff like weight loss, like normal UGC. To be honest, like again, like there's no right or wrong answer there. I've worked mainly with like more vanilla DCC brand, if you will, where we had to be a bit more direct response oriented. Where most of the time they were just like driving traffic to a landing page or a product page, and I don't think like it really matters as long as your funnel is already converting, right? UGC is just going to be like essentially your new source of traffic, and then the more traffic you can bring, the better. I think like, however, the biggest thing about UGC that I didn't really mention there is that depending on your script and depending on how on how efficient it can be and how good it can be, like it really sometimes mean a big difference between your other ads. So for example, we've had a lot of ads that has kind of like this like higher CPC, for example, but also higher AOV, right? So our hypothesis was that essentially we were doing more of the sales process on the front end on the ad, and that would mean a bit more like price elasticity on the back end, and just like basically be more upfront with the sales process during the ad, right? And we've seen that happen quite a lot, where the CPC was higher, but the CPA was lower and the AOV was higher, which was very interesting to notice. And then to answer your other questions too. So what type of ROAS? Again, as I said, like it's very dependent. I can't really tell you. It's like depending on like if you're already doing a great job with your creatives, the incremental effect is not going to be crazy in terms of results. I'm sure you're going to, and I've seen that happen multiple times, but you're gonna be slashing your CPA. And essentially, like the whole thesis and the whole method that I have on Facebook is essentially, you have your spend, right? You become more efficient. You scale the spend, so you become less efficient. You become more efficient with your better creative. You scale the spend, and that's how you scale, basically, right? You don't scale aggressively by like fucking tripling the budget overnight, but you do it, bit by bit, making better ads, becoming more efficient, making ads that people like and enjoy watching, scaling the spend, etc., etc. So, and then to answer your question about like the ROAS is really not something that I take a look into, because and again, like it's different, right? If you have like a more direct response brand where you have to be profitable on the front end, and it's like more like, okay, well, we're going to sell like bundles and like 369 or like 6, for example, then it's different. But I'm talking about like ROAS is not really the best metric, because you don't account for like your margins, you don't account for your LTV, and especially in the health space and the beauty space, this is something that is very, very important to do, right? Because if you can figure out your cash conversion cycle with like different fintech tools, or like with the card, etc., you don't need to be like super profitable. You don't need to be having like a crazy ROAS on the front end, right? You just need to be careful with your CPA and knowing how much you pay for a customer, because you know that the future cash flow is going to make up for it, right? So that's why I was not really looking at ROAS. To me, like CPA is the most important metric, and then you're gonna have LTV and the margin, etc., right? Because ROAS doesn't really mean anything, right? You can have like a high ROAS, but if you have like very tight margins, for example, I see a lot of like people, bragging about like high ticket drop shipping, or even like selling like furniture, stuff like that. The thing is that like this is like very low margin, right? So your CPA might be like your ROAS might be good, but your profit margins are going to be very tight in any case, right? So that's why I don't really look about ROAS. Third question is, how much spend are you putting behind each creative before determining it's worth investing more into? Yeah, typically it's going to be about like 3 to 5x CPA. Again, depending on what's your CPA, on your average CPA. But and I think like for brands that can't really afford to be spending that much, you typically have like the early metrics about like add to cart, initiate checkout. So for example, if you spend, I don't know, like 2x CPA, and then you typically spend 3x, and you have 0 add to carts, it's a bit difficult. However, I want to say that the important thing that I do on Facebook is that I don't really rely too much on like me to make a decision about anything, right? It's more about like I try to, and again, this is a bit more for advanced people that already have like good results on Facebook. But when you can really leverage the scientific method, um, and like have a control, you let Facebook decide if the ad is going to be getting spent or not, right? Obviously, if it's getting spent that is unprofitable, turn it off after some time, right? But it's not okay. Well, I have the CPC, and then if it's more than $2, I'm going to cut it off. If I have the CTR, I'm going to, etc., etc. It's not about that, right? It's really about like how much money does this ad bring, and it's kind of difficult to measure that with like Triple Whale or just like Facebook. So I'll be diving in the course, a bit more into Facebook and like incrementality and like how to measure these efforts. But yeah, basically the short answer is 3 to 5x CPA, or AOV, depends on how you do it. And then the last question: what percentage of ad spend in dashboard is allocated to the creatives? Again, I do things a little bit differently. So my goal is really to be able to beat the control ad, right? Or at least to get an ad that is as efficient or more efficient than the ad. So I'm constantly testing more creatives. I guess like for when you really are at high spend, I think like probably 20% is the minimum that you should be sending on creative testing. That's the very minimum, right? I probably think that it's better to do more, but if you have like very good results with business as usual, obviously like you should focus your attention on there, right? So again, like no right or wrong there. I think it's like dependent on your business and your goals, also like financial goals is what determines this kind of answer to the question. But yeah, that's my answers.
Nice. Cool. Anyone have any more questions on the on anything really?
I had good retention. Not expecting that many people to stick around for almost 2 hours. That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Clearly, there's a ton of value that you shared on the call, Sasha, and we're gonna make this recording available to everyone. So we'll be sending out an email just a bit with the recording link, and also just remember that if you do want to take advantage of the bonuses today, where get the audit from us at Vital and also from Sasha. So get yourself covered when it comes to scaling plan for Meta and also for Google platforms. Today's the day to do it. And we'll be sending a few more emails about this over the next few days, but we're getting started in less than a week. So really excited for everyone who's going to jump aboard and go on this journey with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to literally build out this UGC factory inside your business. So super excited. All right, but if no more questions, Sasha, thank you so much for getting on the call, and super excited to collaborate with you on this. And again, insane amount of knowledge and just impressive what you've built, and can't wait to explore it with you. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone for your time and your attention, and really looking forward to helping you.
Yeah, big thank you to everyone that stayed that long to listen to my boring speech. And thanks to the Vital team and to you, Ian, for giving me this platform. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Looking forward to everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day and great weekend, and be in touch shortly. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.